Shabbat Shalom. Dear congregation, Beth, Tikvah, and our wonderful guests. I want to share a story with you. A few days ago, I had a conversation with one of my conversion students. And as you know, when a person converts to Judaism, they need to acquire a Hebrew name, a new name. And usually it's a choice that is that particular person is choosing what name they should be called. The choice of name is a very meaningful process, and this is the name by which the person will be known among the people of Israel. And this time it's not parents who decide the name. One gets to choose a name for themselves. Of course, I can suggest some options, but it is a rare chance in human life to choose a name and define own destiny. The significance of names in the Torah is quite apparent. Torah is very careful about preserving the names of our ancestors. Names represent our identity, not only because they allow us to be distinguished one from another, but because they define us in many ways. So when we were talking about the subject, meaning me and my student, we also shared that with each other experience of how people tend to mispronounce our names. We both have kind of unusual names, and people might not know immediately how to pronounce them. For me personally, it's not a big deal. I don't see it as a mistake or mispronunciation. For me, it's just a local variation of the same name. But I can tell you, there is not a week passed when someone did not ask me, how do I pronounce your name correctly? Is it Zilbershtein, Zilberstein? And the truth, none of this, but okay. If you live in multiple countries, you get used to the way your name sounds in different languages. And I'm sure that many of you who have been to Israel noticed that suddenly you are not Rachel but Rachel, maybe you are not David but David, right? Okay. Do you get upset about it? Okay, great. I honestly don't care how people pronounce my name as long as I know that they talk to me, right? There is no right or wrong name. There is no right or wrong way, in my opinion. So, in my part of the world, my family name sounds as Zilbershtein. But here it is more often Zilberstein or Zilberstein. So what's the big deal? All names of the same time are pronounced like that. So tell me, what is the name of a great Jewish physician of all times? Albert Einstein, right? This is how you pronounce it, okay. So in my part of the world, it's pronounced Albert Einstein. And to the best of my knowledge, it's an original. In German, it is pronounced Einstein. So should I now insist that everyone calls Albert like that? Another example is actually in this Torah portion, for the first time, we meet a little boy whose name will be the most frequently repeated name in the Torah. Yeah, I believe that from now on, every Torah portion will mention him at least once. That is, of course, Moses, except that his name is not Moses, it is Moshe. So why do we call him Moses? Isn't that disrespectful and a little bit weird? But if Moshe's name is usually mispronounced and he's fine with that, I can definitely live with the variations of my name. But this topic of name, it really lingered with me. And after that conversation with my student, I had another conversation also about names, but very, very different. The first conversation was very light, and we laughed and had, shared some jokes. The other one was different. So this week we had actually a wonderful bar mitzvah, and you saw Tanner today reciting from the Torah scroll. I'm sorry for bringing spotlight there, but Yash Koach and Mazel Tov again on your bar mitzvah. So, and they had their celebration, the lunch they had in the foyer, and I talked to Kevin, Tanner's father. I'm sorry, Kevin, I did not ask a permission to share that, but here we go. And he said something very profound that I want to share with you. He said that we are celebrating, bar mitzvah. It's such a happy occasion. But we also have these names and photos of the hostages that are in the foyer. So they're like guests at our bar mitzvah. Even in the time of celebration, we do not forget about them because they're so close to our broken hearts. And that really touched me. And that is a very different list of names, very different. But we do not forget about them. We keep them with us every day. So I was thinking about this, all conversations about the names, and I thought to myself, that's very interesting, how appropriate this subject is for this week when we begin the book of Shemot and read Parashat Shemot. And Shemot, of course, means names. Ve'ele Shemot Bnei Israel habayim Mitzrayma. These are the names of the sons of Israel who came to Egypt. Reuven, Shimon, Levi, and Yehuda, Issachar, Zevulon, and Binyamin, Dan, and Naphtali, Gad, and Asher. The total number of persons that were of Yaakov's issue came to 70, Joseph being already in Egypt. This is typical that our Torah portion gets the title based on the first few words in the first sentence of the Parsha. The common English title for this book is, of course, Exodus, which might seem a little bit more appropriate. After all, the content of the book is about our ancestors' exodus from Egypt, not about their names. And even more than that, the names that we read today in the beginning of this Torah portion, we just read them in the previous Torah portion in the end of the book of Bereshit or Genesis. So this is really a repetition. We just read these names, now we read them again. So why is it significant to begin this book with the name, and why the whole book gets this title, Shemot? So our sages, of course, they had more than one idea of why the book of Shemot is beginning with Shemot, the names. And my favorite midrash, my favorite interpretation on this topic is from Shemot Rabbah. It's like a collection of interpretations and stories about Shemot, which states that listing the names adds new praise for the 70 souls who are mentioned, indicating that all of them were righteous. It equates the people of Israel with the stars in heavens, showing how dear they were to God, that they are compared to the stars, which also God brings out and brings in by number and name when they cease to shine. As it is said, He brightens out their host by number. He calls them all by name. This is a quote from Prophet Yeshayahu. From this perspective, the importance of the name clearly does not lie in the way it is pronounced, but in the virtues of people who bore these names. The names matters because people matter. Rabbi Dr. Bradley Shavit Artson points out in regards to this topic, certainly when you are singled out for special praise, you enjoy having your name listed publicly. Look at all the plagues and dedications in our synagogues and community centers. Those names are there because the honorees and those who loved them cared about seeing people who perform good deeds recognized by the community. In precisely the same way, the long list of the Torah represent an assertion of human worth. We may not care about every name listed there, but the author of the Torah does and wants us to learn to care as well. Those names teach us that more people are involved in our lives than we care to acknowledge, that we are more deeply embedded in our society than we will ever know. That is why if we go back and look at this midrash that I just mentioned, we see that it says, God brings out and brings in stars by numbers and names when they ceased to shine. Why cease to shine? What are they talking about? That is because after we are gone, the only thing that is left is our name. Another Rabbi Benjamin Black says the following: the names we get as a result of a partnership between our effort and God's response. That is why the Hebrew word for name has the same numerical value as the word for book, sefer. The number is 340. Names are books. They tell a story, the story of our spiritual potential, as well as our life's mission. That explains the fascinating another midrash that tells us that when we complete our years in this earth and face heavenly judgment, one of the most powerful questions we will be asked is, what is your name, and did you live up to it? That is a deeply moving thought. Did you live up to your name? In the book of your life, when you are the main character, did you fulfill your destiny that is hidden in your name? I personally don't even know if God will recognize me by my name because all people call me differently. So, my general name is Alisa. No one calls me that ever. All my classmates, they call me Tzipi because that's my Hebrew name from Tzipora. And if they really like me, they call me Tzipushka. And my Russian-speaking family, they all call me Alison. Or again, if they really like me, that's Alisonchik. And one particularly stubborn member of our community always calls me Alisha, for the reason that is known only to him and to God. But jokes aside, when I'm gone, will my name be remembered? And in what way? Our Torah portion gives a powerful example related to this question. We are reminded of the names of the children of Israel that we just read. We know the name of Moshe, we know his mother Yocheved and his father Amram. We even know the names of righteous midwives who saved Hebrew babies, Shifa and Pua. But there's one name that we don't know, and that's the name of Pharaoh. Yeah. Knowing how much effort Egyptian rulers put into the preservation of their names, carving them on monuments and walls of the temple, it's astonishing that the name of this Pharaoh is not mentioned in the Torah. One of the strongest curses that exists in our tradition, Yimach Shemo, may his name be blotted out. And that's exactly what happened to Pharaoh. His name is not in the book of names, and it is not in any lists. Then what about you? Rabbi Artson asked a profound question. Whose lists are you on? How many lists could be you on that you have simply not bothered with getting involved with your synagogue or donating blood or becoming active in teaching in religious school or working with homeless shelters, political campaign, or an art festival? There are so many lists waiting to be assembled. All of them have a space available for your name, and only you can place your name where it should be. So let's think about this idea for a moment. Whose lists are you on? It's not, I think, just about formal membership or official roster, but it's about the way we touch lives around us. In those moments when we lend ear or share a smile or extend a hand, these simple acts of kindness, they etched our names in the people's hearts. It's also about those grand and life-changing gestures, the times we go above and beyond making a significant difference in someone's life. Imagine being a person who inspires a child to pursue their dream, who supports Shul's project that transforms the community, or who stands up for what's right, even when it's difficult. These are the moments when our names become more than just a word. They become symbols of hope, change, and courage. You're making a mark on someone's life, a mark that's far more lasting than any written record. You become part of their story, a chapter of their book that they will revisit with warmth and gratitude. In our fast-paced world, it's easy to forget the power to bring change that each of us wields. But every time we pause to care and engage, to be present for someone else, we are creating ripples. And our names might not flash in neon lights for these acts, but in the quiet corners of people's memories, our names shine like stars. I'm wishing you all a good Shabbat and a good name.